You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters. Well, that's right. I'm back in the original lab. Oh, I am not in my soon-to-be finished, maybe not finished studio that I've been recording out of, and I'm back in the old setup. We're going to talk about Aaron Rodgers, one guy that I respect a lot that I grew up watching play in NFL is one Boomer Esiason. Now, in case you guys don't know, Boomer Esiason was one hell of a quarterback in a time when it was a lot harder to play quarterback in the NFL. They didn't coddle quarterbacks, and wide receivers were not allowed to just run across the middle with reckless abandon like they are now. But, of course, he played for the Jets. Now he went to the Super Bowl with the Cincinnati Bengals. And he's on Boomer and Geo, a show I like to watch a lot, to be honest, when I get a chance. In fact, I just saw this. I saw him say this morning. I was going to make a video on it. But before we get to that, Aaron Rodgers was on Pat McAfee's show. Of course, it was Aaron Rodgers Tuesday. And he is making comments about this disastrous season for the New York Jets. And I got to admit, I thought this Aaron Rodgers thing would work. Now, did I think they would necessarily win a Super Bowl? No. But I also said that when he got hurt last year, I thought that changed the complexion of all this. Why? Because I felt like they needed last year to acclimate to the situation, and then this year they would compete at least for a deep playoff run. But I feel like that setback and that Achilles, I think it may have doomed this thing right there on the spot. All right. Now, we know there's been a lot of personnel moves. I mean, Robert Saleh got fired. You'd be shocked how many people out of the league around the league believe Robert Saleh should still have his job right now. That this was not his fault. Now, whether or not you agree with that, I don't know. Let's listen to Aaron Rodgers on Pat McAfee's show. He believes there's still something to play for, and then we'll get to Boomer Esiason, because he had some very interesting words about this Aaron Rodgers situation and what it's done to the locker room.
In your building, what is the mindset? What is the thought on how to finish this season for the New York Jets?
Well, it hasn't changed for me. I think you got to approach it the same every single week. You know, when there's a lot of conversation like, oh, what are you going to do now? Like, well, you do what you know how to do. You go back to work. You know, preparation stays the same. You know, maybe it kicks up a little bit if you need to for guys that, you know, feel like they can give a little more. But I've been doing this a long time, and the preparation stays the same. Focus stays the same. You know, I think you got to handle it with humility. You know, done a lot of pies to be eaten around here this year. Flavored humble.
Yeah. Big ones. Big New York pies.
Yeah, New York pies.
Those big New York pies.
Good pies.
And it's not a buck a slice either. These are,
yeah.
But you gotta hold on to that beautiful thing in life called hope. And that's just that there's a chance. You know, we're not mathematically eliminated. There's a lot to play for. At the end of the day, you know, one thing that we can play for, whether we're 10-0 or 3-7, is pride. You know, pride in your performance, pride in the product you're putting on the field, not wanting to let your coaches down, your teammates down, the guys in the locker room, the men and women that you see every day at work. There's got to be pride in that. It's got to be pride that spurs you on Monday night when you're tired and you just had a long flight and you sit down and you watch your film and you wake up Tuesday morning, you get after it in preparation, you go in the facility, you take care of your body, you do your workout or whatever it might be. And then, you know, you get after it Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening. Make sure you're ready to go Wednesday with questions, with ideas, and hitting your coach up, making sure that, you know, you get an early look at the plans. You can come in with some questions and do all the little things.
Okay, so he's obviously still got some hope for the season. Whether or not anybody agrees with that, I don't know. You know, surprisingly, statistically speaking, Aaron Rodgers is not terrible. I mean, he's got 15 touchdowns, 7 picks, 2,200 and a half yards. That's 62.4% completion percentage isn't great, but PFF still has him graded out as the number 12th best quarterback in the NFL right now. Now, this is where I tend to have some issues with PFF because, well, there's no world where Trevor Lawrence has been a good quarterback this year. Sorry, not sorry, but that's just a fact. And there's no world where Baker Mayfield is anywhere behind Trevor Lawrence or Aaron Rodgers. We know Baker right here and right now. I think if the Bucs were a little better, and just a few weeks ago they were, but him as an NFL quarterback, Baker's in the MVP conversation right now. He probably won't win, depending on what the Bucs end up doing and what he ends up doing, but still. And you can see this right here. The Jets, 26th in scoring and yards gained. That's not good. The problem is Aaron Rodgers, 6.4 yards per attempt. That's not good. It's over a yard off his career average, and that's the problem. They're not throwing the ball down the field. So, of course, they got crushed by the Cardinals. Boomer Esiason said this, quote, "I hate to say, it's like Aaron Rodgers has completely sucked the air out of the building. Yikes." Esiason said on WFAN's Boomer and Geo, and I think so many guys are deferring to in their minds, in my mind, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the great quarterbacks when he was in his prime that we've ever seen. Very few people threw the ball like him. And I used to say, Dan Marino, Joe Namath, Aaron Rodgers all threw the ball significantly different than everyone else, like we've never seen anything like it. And I will go to my grave still thinking that those three players were that special when they were throwing the ball. And how they looked at throwing the ball was just so natural and amazing. But Esiason then pointed out to Mike Williams. Yeah, that's getting a lot of play right now. Mike Williams goes to the Steelers, and he immediately lights it up down the field. And, of course, I thought when it was clear they're going to trade Mike Williams, I thought the Patriots should have jumped in and gave him something. But that just goes to tell you something. I mean, the Jets lost to the Patriots. I can't tell you how much of a talent difference there is between the Patriots and the Jets right now. I mean, sauce. I mean, we could go down the rosters. Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams, I mean, everywhere, both sides of the ball. And yet, a team like the Patriots beats the Jets. It's absurd. Quote, "Since he's come over here over the last 2 years, every player on this team, I feel like, has deferred to him," Esiason added. And the reason I say that is because Russell Wilson said something about Mike Williams yesterday, and it was being reported during the game that when Mike Williams showed up to Pittsburgh, he showed up with such a big smile, and he was so happy, like he was so unencumbered by playing for the Jets, with the Jets for Aaron Rodgers, and that he makes the game-winning touchdown catch over his left shoulder in an amazing sequence of events. Because the reason he's on the field is because the guy that would have been out there on the field gets hurt on the previous play, and that's the only reason he's out there. And Russell Wilson has the confidence to throw him the football, and it was a game-winning touchdown pass. And what Russell was talking about, Mike Williams basically gives you a real perspective on what's going on in that locker room over with the Jets. So in other words, everybody's, it sounds like, walking around on eggshells because of Aaron Rodgers. That's pretty wild. But it also sounds like, if I'm reading between the lines, and yards per attempt would kind of show this out, Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to throw the ball up down the field. All right, maybe I know that offensive line at times isn't great with the New York Jets, but I'll give Russell Wilson credit, and I think this is what Mike Williams is talking about. Mike Williams got out there running his route, and Russell just threw the son of a bitch out there for Mike Williams to make a play on. We're not seeing nearly as much of that from Aaron Rodgers as we would see in the past. Still, one of the most remarkable passes I've ever seen him throw was a Hail Mary in a Detroit Lions game. I mean, it was unbelievable. He still got a huge arm. Aaron Rodgers got a massive cannon on him. But he hasn't wanted to cut it loose, and it's like he's I don't know. There's like a mental block on throwing the ball down the field, and this is an example I think that Boomer Esiason's made. That's a hell of an indictment that Aaron Rodgers has sucked the air out of the locker room. I mean, if anything, the locker room should be juiced, but something's going on there where they're not. Clearly, it's a disaster. And I thought the Jets were going to be really fun to watch this year. Boy, they're like getting a root canal. Tell me what you think. It's not a great look for Aaron Rodgers and the Jets at this point. I thought they were going to be one of the best stories in the league. No, they're definitely a story, but not one of the best ones. It's a train wreck. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.